So I had the Kenney Jam over the weekend. There were 2 rules for the Kenney Jam. You have to use the Kenney assets and you have to follow a theme. I had 2 goals when I decided to participate. The first goal was to work in 3D. Like I mentioned in previous videos, I wanted to make the jump to 3D and start learning all the complexities alongside it. And I wanted to work a bit of narrative into my game. I think a lot of people would agree the primary reason they get into game dev is because they want to tell a story. I would side with that sentiment. It's definitely one of the reasons. I like games, I like stories. When I was a teenager, I only used RPG Maker because I only wanted to make RPGs, which for one person is kind of not possible, but the unfortunate thing about being a solo dev is not being able to do that most of the time. But I want to try and put a little sprinkle of story into it anyway. I had been practicing in 3D, making little prototypes on my own the last few weeks, so I felt confident enough that I could pull it off. The night before the jam, I had downloaded a ton of packs from Kenney.nl. I was really digging the space kit, so I set up a project, imported the models, and called it a night. The theme was announced at 1 AM on Saturday for me. I wasn't going to stay up and wait. Instead, I woke up early on Saturday morning. It just works better for me that way. I've always been more of a morning person. Okay, so day 1, the theme was announced. It was rotation, which is where I hit my first hitch. You see, when I decided to work story into my game, I had assumed the theme would be something I could work a story around. Rotation isn't exactly the best theme for that. I should have probably dropped that goal as soon as I saw that, because I couldn't think of anything that would fit. But I knew I wanted to use the space assets, and I had to make things rotate, right? So the first thing I thought of was those hacking mini games in like Bioshock, Deus Ex, Spider-Man. I had a couple of images on a PureF board and I got to work on making a spinning puzzle thing. It was okay. Basically, there's a set path you have to make in order to connect the path together. It's not very hard. There's not many bells and whistles. Now, when I got this, I should have seen some potential and built out a full puzzle game. But instead I spent the rest of the morning setting up a story because I wanted to make a game with a story. I'm too stubborn sometimes. Around noon, I had to go out for some errands and me and my wife decided to take our dog with us and spend a few hours out on the beach. It was a beautiful day. It's still winter here technically, but it certainly didn't feel like it. After that, I was back into the office and started building out some scenes and getting my player controller working. After a few months or so of game jams, I'm starting to get pretty good at setting up a basic controller. I had a few hitches around getting the kickback on the drone character, but everything I did for the characters I've done before, so it wasn't really too much of an issue. After dinner, I started building a scene in Blender. For whatever reason, I spent the rest of the night animating an intro sequence. This was a huge mistake. None of this contributes to the quality of the game. Sure, it looks impressive, but because of this, my game seriously suffers depth. I should have definitely spent some time on level design instead. If I had done that, the game would have been way broader. I could have had extra puzzles. I could have done a bit where you have to get missing pieces, get them to fit into a specific terminal. There's so many things I could have done, but instead I animated. I had fun, but I could have made a better game loop for sure. So day 2, I woke up the next day again early, took Angel, my dog, out, had a good walk. After I got back, I had to power through and make a half decent game. I had all the pieces, I just hadn't put them together. I smashed out some dialogue and set up a script to track them. Dialogic is the best for Godot. If you don't have it, go get it. I put a level together and polished up the game loop. The premise is you've been sent to a planet to investigate a facility that's gone dark. When you get there, the place has been overrun by androids and the scientists have locked themselves away. Your task is to restore the power and kill the androids. Interestingly, you don't actually have to kill the androids for the game to trigger a win state, but good luck getting through the mezzanine without it. Anyway, the enemies are really easy. The androids can be killed before they get to you. Attacking them doesn't trigger an attack state, so all there is an area in front of their forward direction that if you step in, it triggers an attack state, so it's super easy to kill them. The turrets are a bit more deadly since the missiles deal a bit of damage, and they do follow you around, but the time between is slow and the missiles are also really slow. I didn't even think that there needed to be health packs in this game since it was so easy The cool thing about it is that the game is keeping track of the puzzles that you've solved on a global script, so dying doesn't really affect anything. So you just restart the level and keep going. It's the monsters will come back, but they're super easy again, so it's not really that big a deal. So there's only 2 rooms and there's an elevator between them. 2 rooms, coded up an elevator, another terminal, and drop that upstairs. I finished the afternoon with another beach walk, came back and got into debugging and setting up the media. I threw together a game trailer with all the animation I did since I had to get used to it somehow. Then I uploaded the game and that was it. I've been prototyping a lot lately and I think that's really helped step up my game when making games. The terminal pop-up screen would not have been possible if I hadn't been trying to make a 3D portal. I spent heaps of time understanding how viewports work the last couple of weeks, so when it came to integrating the puzzle, it was fairly straightforward. It was my first time getting input data through a viewport, but I was able to come up with a solution pretty easily. So you can see that the puzzle is actually just gigantic underneath the map, and there's just a camera pointing to that with the viewport over the top. The player controller and the gun are all things that I've gone and developed previously, so implementing them is much simpler a second time round. The key thing I'm learning this year is that I need to keep prototyping a lot. It improves your game design and game development skills a lot. Doing YouTube helps as well. It's a good way for me to reflect and build on what I'm learning. Anyway, this has been a longer one, so thanks for sticking with me on this. Did you do the Kenney Jam? Drop a link in the comments and I'll play and I'll rate. I'll drop my link below. Feel free to play and give me feedback. Either way, my name is Isaac and I am Chef Dev, and I'll see you in the next one.